Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for another episode of Hudson County Review Live. I'm your host, the women's pet and the men's regret, John R. Highness, and today we're joined with State Senator and North Bergen Mayor Nick Sacco. Senator, it's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure being here.
All right, excellent. So, something that's been in the news in North Bergen recently, as you're well aware, is this power plant. Some environmental groups have pushed back. They feel that there's no such thing as clean energy in the sense that, there's always going to be some sort of chemicals in the air, and that could lead to asthma. People are worried about asbestos, and you know what I'm talking about, so we won't belabor the point. But when we did this, 2 months ago, when we were at the site and you guys did the groundbreaking, obviously you thought this was a good investment for the township. So what led you to that conclusion, despite some of these environmental concerns after the fact?
Well, I think some of the environmental concerns are made up. Some of the environmentalists have said that they want to fight over many issues throughout the state. And this was the first one, so they wanted to focus on it, but they didn't really have the concerns that they're projecting. They're just making this an issue. When you think about what they're talking about, you're talking about the pristine meadowlands that they're trying to sell people. When you go out there and see it, you're in an asphalt dump, and you see it's all industrial, and it's actually zoned for things like power plants, you realize that, it's not the meadowlands that they're talking about. There's great flooding issues in the area. For any plant to be built, the company has to come in and fix the area. They have to fix the roadway. They have to fix the flooding, and that makes the land much more valuable to surrounding towns like Fairview, which you have to cross to get into the plant. It makes their area much more valuable and our area more valuable. You talk about, they talk about clean energy. They've shown that it would take 490,000 acres of, I believe, either solar or wind to replace a plant that's on a 14-acre piece. It just doesn't happen. Some plants would have to take up the area of Bergen and Hudson County just to produce this type of energy power.
And how many acres would this be, just to clarify?
What's that?
How many acres will this plant be?
This is 14.
Okay.
So you're talking about a type of energy not available yet. Solar energy works, but it doesn't work to the extent that you can power the city of Manhattan, or any large city or any large area. It works, but it's if it's bad weather, if it's nighttime, it's not working. The wind works, it helps, but it just doesn't replace gas-powered plants. And it can't. Maybe someday they'll invent a way to make it work, but right now it doesn't. This plant will also close some of the dirtier plants that are in the area, and that'll be a good thing. And it brings in millions of dollars of direct aid to the state of New Jersey and millions of dollars to the town of North Bergen, which is critically needed in North Bergen. If we're going to keep taxes stable, we need a new source of income, and here it is. It's looking at us. And it's going to go somewhere, because you're not going to clear 490,000 acres of trees, to build some sort of a clean energy plant. It's just not going to happen. It's going to have to be from somewhere. Now, some are saying put it in New York. If it were that easy, they would have gone to New York. It ends up being easier to put it here, efficient to put it here. The connections are close by, and it'll be our boon, because the money's coming into New Jersey and money's coming into North Bergen, and possibly some money coming into Fairview. So it's a good thing for the area. It's not near houses. It's not affecting anybody's quality of life. You're not going to see it. And it's the cleanest gas energy that you have today. Now, is everything completely clear? No. There is no such thing as completely clean energy, except if you want to do solar and wind.
Right.
But it's not feasible to do that now. What are you going to do at some point? Turn off Manhattan because you're waiting to build an efficient solar, plants that will not work in the evening, that you need too much space to do, that you don't have the space to build them. So to me, it's a lot of it is just straight nonsense, scaring people, telling them that it's going to be getting people sick. One article was so bizarre that it said that the areas around this plant are going to have what is it, I have to think here a second. They were talking about global warming.
Yeah.
We're going to be facing global warming in this area around the plant more than the rest of the planet. Such a bizarre article that the reporter should be embarrassed that he even put it down in print. So looking at it and saying, millions of dollars come into town. It helps our school system. We intend to divert $1 million of that to the new construction and the new schools that we're building, and that would mean that the taxpayers won't see a penny increase. So another $4 million at least coming into the town itself. So this is a really positive thing for the town. It's going to go somewhere, and a lot of the arguments are exaggerated. I noticed that Sheehan made a remark that the union workers, the 700 union workers at least that are going to be employed for 3 years in the trades, he said they'll let them go find other jobs. Well, there aren't other jobs. That's why it's so important to the unions.
A lot of that scale.
That's right. And you know what? They won't be working. People aren't going to be working. You're going to have them working 3 years. Then you're going to have some permanent jobs. Some people said as low as 33 because that's the actual plant, but there will be residual businesses popping up around it. Mm-hmm. And when they estimate there'll be about 300 jobs created because of the plant.
Okay.
So, but when you look at this and just say, let the unions go somewhere else. It was funny that Sheehan, who sat at a meeting at the Sports Authority the other day, and the union people were there, he didn't dare get up to open his mouth. He did not say a word.
So this was a newspaper quote after the fact?
No, he's made it before. He made it before, and it was like I looked and said, okay, now tell the union members that they should go looking for jobs. In other words, feed your family on unemployment. That's what he's telling these people to do. These are needed for job creation. This plant is needed for the energy it'll produce. It's needed for the tax revenues in the state of New Jersey and in North Bergen and possibly Fairview. So I see this as a positive thing, and I know it's about as clean a plant as that you could possibly have today. And admittedly, there's nothing 100% clean. It's as clean as you're going to have today. It's going to retire plants that aren't clean. So it's going to be a positive thing.
So just one follow-up. I mean, some of the naysayers, environmentalists, they've said that this doesn't fit Governor Phil Murphy's clean energy initiative, and they would be really disappointed if he let this go through. Have you had any conversations with the governor about the plant yet? No, because it has to go through his agencies. State agencies, has to go through the DEP, and then of course the federal EPA. So it had to go through the Sports Authority. So to try to pin the governor down on something like this where his agencies are going to have to study. But I'm confident because I did meet in Trenton with staff and with the company, with various different agencies all in one room, and explained what it would be and had them explain what it is. And I think that when they go step by step, they're going to see that as a positive thing, that it's helpful to the people. Okay, it helps New York, but do you realize that we also get service and send service into Pennsylvania? They're ignoring that these type of sharing in a region it's done. It's being done between us and Pennsylvania back and forth, helping New York because it's the best location here. Also helps us financially, and there are a number of people coming in with plants. I think there are about 10 being proposed in New Jersey. Some will be approved, some won't. I'm hoping the one here is approved. And I believe that the environmentalists are making a lot of noise, and I would love to see Sheehan get up in that room
and open his mouth the way he's been. I don't know what his credentials are. In fact, as far as I know, he has no credentials. His credentials are the job was open, and he filled it, and he has no credentials. For what he does, he raises money off it. It's the last penny he's going to get from me, because I used to support him, and he wasn't complaining to the unions when they put money into buying his last boat. There was no complaints there. Now suddenly, the unions go look for other work. Okay, he should have got up and said it in front of them. If he had the courage of his convictions, why not?
That's a fair point. So, I think we covered that pretty extensively. Circling back, you made a point how this is going to be great for the schools and it's going to keep taxes stable, but as you're obviously well aware, there's going to be a new high school in North Bergen and a new school at High Tech. A little bit of a trade-off there between North Bergen and the county. So just tell us a little bit about how that process is growing and, when we could expect to see those changes and how that's looking from your perspective.
Okay, well, what's happening here is that we're purchasing the schools of technology. And that was originally going to be the high school, 10, 11, and 12. But it doesn't work because you can't run a good sports program out of that school. It would just take a horrendous busing, and even getting people to see games like basketball games. How would you bring people to the other side of Tumbling Avenue to watch a game, as opposed to in the high school that we have? The locker rooms are up here. The weight room is up here. There's a lot of things that we have up here already, and we're closer. We have a brand new field behind the high school.
Yep, yeah, I've seen it.
Fields, and of course we have all the other fields, all within short distances of the current high school. So what we're going to do is have the high school get completely refurbished, air conditioning, new lockers. They already put the new field on, and they're going to do repairs throughout the building to completely refurbish it to make it a new school. Also, they intend to build a STEM academy attachment to the building. This was planned originally, though it wasn't the STEM Academy at the time, when Chris Christie became the governor. We had the money set aside, the state aid set aside, and he took the money.
This was in 2009?
He took the money, yes, he took the money immediately. And so we had to kill the plan. Now we're going to go back on the plan. We're going to put the STEM Academy on. Then once we have the 10, 11, and 12 here, and the 7, 8, and 9, because we'll be taking the 7th and 8th grade out of the elementary schools, it'll be leaving us room to expand in the elementary schools. Right now we have art teachers walking through the halls with carts. You can go back and put the amenities back in the art room in, the music rooms in, and you can put any class that could be overcrowded. You now have classrooms to expand. So you'll be able to do that. The high school loses the 9th grade. Now the high school was built for 1,800 students. It was retrofitted to 2,100.
Yeah.
We'll only have 1,800 students in the high school. Again, the original number with a school bigger than is actually needed, but it's better to have more room, smaller classes.
Sure, absolutely.
And have the STEM Academy on it. The 7, 8, and 9 will be down in the other campus. However, there will be sharing of classes. The STEM Academy students who would be coming up from where, let's say, the schools of technology are now, the junior high school, will be bused up to the STEM Academy classes. Students who are taking career courses like culinary arts, automotive, and classes like that will be bused down from the high school to the location on Tunnelly Avenue where the classes are actually going to be staged. So you're going to be sharing 2 campuses. So the elementary school lose the 7th and 8th grades, and their overcrowding issues are gone. The high schools lose the 9th grade, the overcrowding is gone, and the school is actually made bigger with the STEM Academy wing.
Yeah.
And the other school is built for roughly 1,800 to, I think, 2,100. They gave me the number for that also, and it'll have about 1,800 students in it. So they'll all be it won't be crowded. We'll be sharing campuses connected by buses for specific courses. So it's going to be really modernized what we're doing, and it's going to be a very positive thing. And we're looking at and we're looking for state help and state aid financially with it. And we feel confident because there's money starting to come back. Like there was a time, this year we're going to get $2.9 million more in state aid than from what we got the year before. What we were getting was just about nothing year after year. We were just stagnant. Again, we had a governor who liked keeping, well, I'll give you an example.
Sure.
Fairview got $400,000 one year.
Mm-hmm.
Gothenburg got $400,000 one year. Well, Bergen, which was 4 times their size, got $400,000. And when I complained as the mayor, I was told that's the least we're allowed to give you. Okay? So that's exactly how we were operating. So we'll see money come back in. It'll help us with our expansion, and we'll be looking for state aid, and as we raise the money, and hopefully that plant is in effect, and that'll be bringing us about $1 million a year diverted from that money right to the schools to pay off any bonding debt.
Okay.
So, that's our plan right now, and I believe it's a good plan, and it'll bring our schools, into the modern era.
So refresh my memory, I believe in an ideal world this plan's going to go into effect. Is it the 2019-2020 school year?
I think it's the 2020 school year, it should be. It's going to take us about 2 years starting this year to get the schools ready, to get our high school fixed. Because we'll be fixing the high school with people in it, that's what they've started already. But if you've gone up to see the beautiful field in the back, they've started. Some of the air conditioning has started yet, or already laying out the air conditioning, the duct work. So there are things being done right now. The new locker rooms.
Windows.
Yeah. Hugo Cabrera here, and he's the board secretary, so they're doing the locker room. So the school is going to be completely refurbished and really modernized. STEM Academy may take a couple of years to build.
Gotcha.
On it. And the new school is going to be vacant. And so we'll be able to work down there without any impediment. Now, they have a night school that they do want to keep here, and we're offering them to help us with shared service with the county schools of technology, that they would give us busing and other services, and we would give them the ability to have their night school within our buildings, and so they won't have to move them. They want to make the permanent night school, it seems, right on Tunley Avenue, because that's a great location for the adults to come at night. Mm-hmm. And but in the meantime, they would use our high school while we're building that and getting it ready. So, but there'll be shared services, busing, which is a significant cost. They would absorb the busing because they have the busing able to do it. We may have to do something else with busing and increase some of our own, because they have these runs out to Secaucus. So we're going to have to figure a way to do it. But they want to store their buses here. We'll give them the busing storage. Mm-hmm. We'll give them the night school, and they'll give us back the transportation. So it's a good shared service.
That sounds like a fair trade.
Yeah.
So, Mayor, as you may have heard a few times over the years, I really enjoy a good political fight. So let's backtrack about 6 weeks ago, the vote for the Hudson County Democratic Organization chair. Obviously, things went the way you were hoping. Amy DeGees, the daughter of the county executive, was victorious over State Senator and Union City Mayor Brian Stack. Just looking back on it now, and things seem to be relatively peaceful, knock on wood, from your perspective anyway. What did you think about all that?
I thought it was a colossal waste of time.
Why do you say that?
I just thought 2 months of everybody's lives working on something that didn't have to happen. We were all very willing. I was very willing to have Brian Stack become the chairman. I certainly didn't want it, and it was a headache when Vinny had it. So somebody else do it, and whatever got Steve Fulop to get Brian Stack and the 2 other mayors to do this is beyond me, because it was something that was being handed over, and it just didn't make any sense to me. The fight was what it was, who could produce the most votes out of the areas, and most people did produce, and when you counted the numbers at the end, we had over 51% of the number of committee people, It was close, but over 51% did vote our way. It wasn't 51% of the people in the room, 51% of the total number.
Gotcha.
So we had the numbers, but nobody knew that going in. I just, whoever's going to bring the most out and who can do it. I was very happy with the 32nd district. We brought, every town brought their maximum number. West York, which had a fight over the mayor, we were still ahead like 48-10. At the worst case scenario, I don't think they even produced 10.
Right.
It was like
Considerable lead.
48 to maybe 4, So other than that, the 32nd district, these mayors, I'd give a man like Mayor Ganelli credit. He went and hired a bus, because he's an independent, hired a bus and made sure his 28 votes showed up.
Yeah, every vote mattered.
And everybody did. Every vote mattered, and everybody did their part. And I was very pleased with the way it worked out. And, but it just seemed to be, no matter when you get into a fight, there's always some residual bad feelings. I would hope all the bad feelings go away. We get ready to support Tom DeGee's, Frank Scileri, and our ticket. And we go ahead from here and don't stop to look back. Sometimes these fights maybe have a clear in the air quality to them. Let's hope that's what happened.
So on that point, you don't anticipate as of today that, Mayor Fulop or Mayor Stack will run some sort of opposition ticket to Tom DeGee's and Frank Scileri like next year?
I don't believe Mayor Stack wants to. I believe I've spoken to him since, briefly, and he just seems to be wanting to work with everybody and working together. And that's what he seems saying to me, and I believe that. I don't know what Mayor Fulop is doing. I really can't tell you. I ran up and down the state for 2.5 months with Vinnie Prieto and Joe Muniz lining up votes for Steve Fulop as governor. He pulls out of the race. I get a call in the morning he pulls out of the race. He had to spend 2.5 months of my life and spending money doing it, trying to line it up. And then he does this other thing in the county, which was contrary to what I would have liked to see done. So he didn't seem to have much concern over the people who were sticking up for him when he was running for governor. I don't know where he's at. I hope he looks at this and sees that he'd rather have peace. I hope so, because it's a lot cheaper, a lot easier, and a lot less stressful if we all stay together.
Well, I think that's a proven fact, but we will see what happens. You never know in Hudson County, right?
You never know what happens, no.
So, with that said, something that kind of caught my attention the other night, just right down the road in West New York, there's a couple residents there that are looking to get a ballot question that would potentially leave it up to the voters if they want to change the form of government to mayor council. Now, I'm sure that's not happening in North Bergen anytime soon, but he did make an interesting point where there's only 5 municipalities that still use the Board of Commissioners form of government, and obviously that's what you've been accustomed to since you were sworn in 1985, if I'm not mistaken, and most people have been pretty content with that. Why do you think that has been such an effective form of government for you?
It works because the people make it work. The people in the commission seats make it work. I don't try to run anybody's department. I let them run their own department. And you consolidate everything. You're doing legislative work and executive work. But it's not like I have to go and pick department heads throughout the town. Each department picks their own leadership and gets to run it. So it's one-stop shopping. Instead of having a council who does the legislation and a mayor who does the executive branch and then appoints people all over the town, we have our town broken into 5 sections, and the departments work together. Now, in the government where, like in West New York, you have 3 versus 2 right now, it works, but it doesn't work as well because you have 2 departments working against you. But then again, if you go into Jersey City where you have different council people against the mayor, the same problems pop up wherever it is. And I don't believe it's the form of government, it's the people who are running the government that make the difference. It's easy if you have 9 council people to have a couple of gadflies in the middle of it who are disrupting. Maybe they can get ahead if they can disrupt the government.
Right.
You can have it that way. But in the commission form, everybody can count to 3. And I've been on sides and fights in this over these 33 years that have been 3-2. And I was with 2 commissioners 1 year, and then those 2 commissioners were against me the next year. I was with the other 2. But as long as people could count to 3, I was still in charge. But right now we have 5 people working. It works well. They just what they're doing. It's also more expensive to run the other farm.
Okay.
It's definitely more expensive because you have 9 council people, an executive mayor. When you have a full-time mayor, it becomes a regular high salary.
Yeah.
For the mayor. So we have a town administrator, but a lot of those governments make you have a town administrator. Mm-hmm. So there are different cost factors that are involved. This is working. It's working well here. It generally works in West New York. It's just maybe not working as well today because the mayor went and formed a faction that was against the county executive. I think by next year they'll have it straightened out. I think the dissidents that now control the government are going to be in control of the town under Alvio Sears.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of next year, obviously, I don't need to tell you that you're up for re-election with the rest of the board.
Yeah, I heard.
Yes, I don't think that's breaking. But nevertheless, all indications now are that Larry Weinstein, who challenged you guys with a slate back in 2015, will be running again. I mean, he hasn't formally announced, but he has the endorsement of Mayor Roque down the road, as you alluded to, and he's still, doing community events. So I think the smart money is that he'll run again. What's your take on all that?
I think he's going to run again. And, he was behind the ticket in 2011. He just didn't put his name on it, He didn't have, he has a house that he claims that he lives in, which I know he doesn't live in. He lives in Franklin Lakes. I think the last time, at least another member of his ticket didn't live here also. But you know what? We didn't even challenge it. You want to run, go run, I feel confident that the town is running right. I think a big asset to it now has been Anthony Venieri as the freeholder that we've worked very closely with, and look at what he's done with Braddock Park. I mean, he's made it a beautiful haven. People come and look at it and they can't believe how good it is, and that's part of us. The new school plan is a positive thing. People thought for some reason that I won again and I have no plan for the future. Well, since then, you can see what's happening in the northern part of town with Braddock Park and all the things going on here.
Yeah.
You see the whole new school plan, which is the biggest change in the school system since they built the high school in 1961.
Okay.
And now downtown, you can see the immense work being done with the Hudson Muse, hotels going in, food bazaar there, We're building a rec center down there, a new library, rec center. We're going to be building an indoor pool. Not sure the location because our swim teams will need a place to practice.
Okay.
And right now we have to rent them, and we can't get really off the ground because we're competing as people have full year pools. So we're working on that. We have a couple of locations we're looking at. There's still a lot of things we're planning to do, but I think if you look at the downtown avenue and the revitalization of it, the brand new park will be in as soon as those buildings, Hudson Muse, are done. Hudson Muse changes the complex. We have other buildings too. People, you look at if you go past PC Ridge, look to the right, you see a building back there. Beautiful apartments there. They're planning the one up on Bergen Avenue, which is was 12 stories. I think they're down a couple of stories right now, from what I can gather. I'm not sure. They're 8, they may be 8, something like that.
Okay.
But a brand new building, very upscale, overlooking the park. There are really some nice things going on, and I think very sane, important construction. I'm disappointed about the urban enterprise zone because we don't receive any money for that. All we wanted was a penny on the 3.5 cents the state gets, and Christie took it away. He promised us he was going to let it come back, and he didn't let it happen.
The legislator's working on that, right?
we've heard about it until I actually see it. You know, they've extended some of the zones, but what good is extending the zone? The people are coming to shop. It's 3.5 cents that they're paying, you know, in taxes as opposed to the 7% or 6.78 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, but if you can't take any money that you can use and build new roadways and entice new businesses, it doesn't work. If you can't hire people to keep it clean and safe, people are not going to rush into urban areas to shop. So you need that extra money to advertise and to build. I mean, you know, we open up those areas by putting money into those areas. The urban enterprise zone was important to help businesses get started. Now, there's no money coming in, and all it is becoming a drain on the town. The extra shopping becomes a drain on our traffic. Now we can't even hire cops to control the area because there's no money for it. So to me, the urban enterprise zone exists without money coming into the town. And I'm saying simply a penny. A penny could mean a couple of $1 million in North Bergen that we could spend money. We used to have sweepers going in and out of these areas.
Oh, yeah.
We have extra police patrolling and helping traffic. You just don't have that now. They've hurt the zones, and you don't see us going out trying to say, if we can put a new roadway in here, we can maybe open up more. Well, there's no money to put that new roadway in. So, you know, they're actually hurting the whole zone throughout the state of New Jersey by not giving money back that can be used to expand the zones.
Yeah. Well, let's see if the legislator could get on the same page with this one. You know, I know I've seen a couple bills that have gone to committee, at least in the assembly, regarding you know, trying to get some of this funding back. Let's see what happens.
The problem is the shortest money in the state. If the governor, let's say, did it right now, we may have a shortfall in the budget. Like he may need that 1 penny each, you know, for now, but hopefully by next year it's not as necessary.
Okay, I understand. Now, you mentioned Freeholder Chairman Anthony Veneri as someone that's been helping contribute to North Bergen the past few years. I mean, we know that Frank Gargiulo's retired as the superintendent of schools at High Tech. So perhaps would a trade-off for Veneri for Gargiulo be something you guys would be considering for next year on the Board of Commissioners?
It'd be up to Frank Gargiulo if he wants to run. He's been a very good commissioner. He's a very popular commissioner. And he's giving up the schools technology. It may give him more time to be a commissioner. I mean, I've noticed him attending a lot more functions now that he's retired than he did in the past, because he has more freed up time. Schools technology took a lot of his time, so we'll have to see that. Will Anthony Veneri be a good commissioner or a good mayor or a good whatever he wants to be? Obviously, he's shown it by what he's done by working on that park and making it a showcase for the town. But right now, Frank Gargiulo is still here, and it would be his right to refuse.
Yeah, that sounds perfectly reasonable. But, you know, still speaking about the freeholder, you know, some people are unhappy with the board at the county level right now because of this new agreement they've entered into with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I mean, obviously you're not a county official, you don't have a vote or anything, but just looking at it from afar, I mean, what does it look like to you?
Here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a building, some of the construction was paid for by the federal government for this. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know what the penalties would be if you decided to tell them to get out. I know there's about $30 million coming in. North Bergen's share of the money that would come in, that we would have to probably make up, is over $3.3 million. I believe our share of the county budget is.
It's pretty significant.
So that's a significant tax increase for the people in North Bergen if that were to go. And if it were to go, the people who are being housed here, who live in the area, would have to be traveling somewhere like the Camden. It's not going to disappear. They're going to go somewhere.
Sure.
The money's going to go somewhere, and it would be we'd have to be making up for money. People would have to be visiting their relatives in faraway places where they do have the facilities. And I think it's something that's been here since Bob Januszewski was the county exec. And it's not something you just, you know, once you rely upon that amount of money, you know, you're kind of locked into it. I'm hoping that the ones that they do incarcerate are criminals, not just people who, overstayed their time.
Right.
I would hate to see any law-abiding citizen, put into a prison for any reason. But if it's a murderer, a rapist, or someone who's been gathered up because they're a criminal, they're going to go somewhere. They're not going to be just let loose into the streets.
Sure.
So we're getting $30 million for it. That was a decision made by the county. I'm not a county official, but I see it very hard to go around and say to the people of Hoboken, you pay, 35% of the county budget, you're going to have to raise your taxes by $5 million to give to the county because someone's going to pay for the services. Anytime you cut a program out, you have to raise the money. So to me, it's a very difficult situation to be in.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not an easy choice. I mean, we'll see what happens at that next meeting coming up. So, Mayor, let me part on this note. As you're well aware, dating back to the end of February, the NBCI team's been doing this investigation into the North Bergen Housing Authority, and it led to one of the directors being fired, and then it's led to also about a handful of other employees fired. Lawsuits have been filed. So you obviously are familiar with the situation, but the two big allegations that the network made was that number one, you were aware of some of these, what was happening with Jeff Santini, that you played a role in him getting this SUV. And the second one was that politically connected people got preference on the housing sheet. So, when you've seen all these reports, I mean, there was quite a few, like 7 or 8. I mean, those are the two big takeaways for me. I mean, what's your reaction to some of the allegations that have been made by the I-team?
They were lies. They were blatant out lies. Jeff Santini was the head of security. He also has a company that did the animal control. Our involvement with him was animal control, and he does a phenomenal job with it. Any town he's been in has been praising the work he's done. He has a very efficient company, and they do their job, and they're easily reached and accessible. They work on weekends and nights, so we're very happy with the animal control. As far as housing, that's something housing has to police, and I'm not sure exactly what happened up there. Him having a van as a director, driving around, that's not that uncommon. I haven't seen any proof to any allegations that he misused the van. I mean, I've heard statements, but I haven't seen anything. Then you go into this and find out some of the people charging like this have their own axes to grind. One person who's suing was angry that she didn't become the executive director. It'd be like my saying, I'd love to be a principal, but I didn't want to go to school. She had no credentials to be it.
This is Carlene Earl?
Yeah, she had no credentials. I mean, I would have loved to see her become the executive director. I thought she worked with the Housing Authority 30 years, never went back to school to get the degree that she would need to become the executive director. So to be angry over something and to, I have no idea, why she is. I've known her since she was a young girl.
Oh, yeah?
She was always very supportive of me. She worked closely with me, and suddenly she's become some sort of a problem there, and I have no idea, by the way, why they fired or what they did. I wasn't involved with any of that, but I have no idea how that all came about. And it wasn't I know one thing about it. It wasn't the I-team stories that created a problem for their jobs. Apparently, there was misconduct, and that's what all the board will say, because it's personnel. There was misconduct that they found, and they fired people for misconduct. And that's what they're saying. And the board apparently, not even the board doesn't do the firing. The executive director does the firing. Mm-hmm. But that seems to be what's happened there. I have no idea, but it seems to be one story after another. And for a while, you couldn't get your say. This isn't true. I look at it and say, let's talk about people getting into housing. I don't know one person who got into housing. Okay? I wouldn't know who. I wouldn't know who got into housing. I don't know the criteria. I was on the housing authority years ago on the board.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But we never sat down and said, let's, look, the list is, the federal government has a list. They
Sure.
file a list. There's certain exceptions they can make on the list. They know what the legal exceptions are. But for someone to say I was putting people as political people in, that was a blatant lie, total lie. And I can't wait till they get to court and show how that list operates. Because certainly it wasn't anybody I had anything to do with that got into housing. I go there, I meet people for the first time, I stop at the senior part, I stop at the buildings. I didn't have any say on getting anyone in. Anyone who comes here trying to get into housing, they automatically send them to housing to fill an application out. The most we'll do down here, if someone calls up and says, I've been on a list for 6 months, and I don't know where I am, they may make a call and say, by the way, this person is there, and they may be told, look the application, whatever, this is what's going on. At least try to give them information about where they may be on the list. Mm-hmm. If they're a senior, maybe say, look, they expect a few more months wait. But we don't get involved. We tell people point blank, we cannot get you into the housing authority. Go up and apply, and that's how it is. So saying that was a blatant, that part affected me. That was a blatant lie. I don't know why she told it, because she was responsible for putting people in the building. That was her job. She was overseeing the list. All right? And so, in fact, almost everything they said that she was saying was wrong, she was responsible for. So I can't wait to see when they go to court. That'll be a really interesting thing when she's called to task for the things that she said were wrong. When she was the one who was, if they were wrong, she was part of it. Or trying to blame somebody else. It's easy to say the mayor did it, Well, the mayor wasn't involved. The mayor doesn't get involved in it.
Well, we'll certainly...
I walk up there, I don't even know who the employees are. I meet them, and so they ask what's that person's name. I don't get involved with them. Mm-hmm. That's why you have an autonomous agency. Let it run itself. Well, it's a 90-something% rating that they get. They get over 90% rating.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But now they have problems with HUD hearing the stories and reacting to stories. It's just not fair what's going on. But I think that these cases will come out, and when it comes out, we're going to find out exactly at some point legally what's been going on when people have to go on the stand under oath. And when they tell me, you did what? I mean, I stood there, watched TV, and my mouth dropped. And said, I don't know anyone who's been getting into those buildings, have anything to say about it, or even try. And if they say people are being sent up, anybody who walks here who says, I need housing, they're told there's about 3 places they can look. Mm-hmm. They could look at Westview Towers, which is privately owned. Yeah. They could look downtown at Applied Housing. They could go to the Housing Authority. Yeah. And they're often sent any of the 3 places and say, these are places you can look. Sometimes we'll say there are rent-controlled buildings over in certain areas of town. You can look at them if you're looking for certain rents. But that's the extent of anything that we do here. And to me, to hear that kind of allegation, you see how angry I am? I am really angry at a young girl. I was there when she was hired at 18 years old.
So you know each other like 30 years?
I've known her. And for her to say this, I mean, I can't even know what she could be basing this on. But if she would have said people are getting in and, well, something good, let them go. They have the list. Let the feds look at the list. Let them do that. Let them make sure that everything was done right. To say I did when I'm not involved at all, that really irritated me. But that being said, let it take its course. That's what I said in the beginning to Channel 4. If this is a problem in housing, let housing investigate and handle it.
That's pretty fair.
That's exactly what I said to them.
Yeah, I remember.
And they've been putting my name in every article they get and say the mayor's friends, the mayor's picnic. The mayor's picnic. You have a picnic. Guess what? Of the 1,000 seniors who come, a high percentage come out of the buildings. Those employees are often sent down here by the executive director. But I found out one thing. If they didn't want to come, some people had to stay at the building. They could stay at the building.
Okay.
I heard some of them decided never to come down, and they stayed at the building. Nobody was forced to come down, but since the seniors were here, and there was nothing going on up in the buildings, come down and help out. Nothing wrong with that. It's a decision made by the executive director to make it look like you're being forced. They weren't being forced. If they were being forced, there wouldn't be people up there working in the buildings. And one of the people who made the allegations, I heard, hasn't come for years. All right?
Showed up to work?
Hasn't come down to the event.
Oh, okay.
Has stayed up there.
Gotcha.
And no one cares. There's enough. I have volunteers from town hall. My community service office, they're the ones who work with the seniors. Of course they go down.
Okay.
You know?
All right, very good, Mayor. Any parting thoughts before we call it a day here?
No, I think it was pleasurable. I always enjoyed being interviewed by you. I think you, let's see.
All right. State Senator and North Bergen Mayor Nick Sacco, a big pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We hope you all have a fantastic weekend.